And it's late Monday. All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to start with Screencastify. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share out my screen, and I have to share out my whole entire screen to show you the very first part of how to get to Screencastify and how to get to this particular part of Screencastify that I want us to get to. All right, so
Now,
let me go.
Misha, real
Yeah.
quick, a quick tip. Don't share your camera on the Google Meet right now.
Okay.
Sometimes that causes issues too.
All right.
So turn off your camera.
Uh-huh.
There you go. And then
All
go
right.
ahead.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. You're not going to be able to see my beautiful face now. It's fine. Absolutely fine that you're not seeing my face right now. All right. Let me go ahead and open up. I'm going to do my entire screen. And I have a big screen here, so I apologize. But we're going to try to make this as big as possible so you can see everything here. Okay. You see my my beautiful turtle there, right?
We do see it.
Okay. All right. All right. Tell me if you see the little window that just popped up.
Yep, we see it.
Okay, all right. So what I did was I clicked on my extension for Screencastify, okay? And this should look very familiar for those of us who have used Screencastify before, okay? We've got the browser tab, the desktop, and the webcam. But there's some really other great features that are in here that you should always go check out. Because, you know, I always say that when you see 3 dots in Google, that means there's something really awesome in there. Well, if in this case, it's 3 lines in Screencastify that you should check out. So right over here, there's these 3 lines, and that's actually a menu. And look at this. Look at this. This is so cool. So we don't have to worry about the subscription. We have unlimited everything. There's other options where we can set up what camera we want to use, what microphone we want to use, all of that good stuff. And then there's an editor that's in here. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I want you to look at this one here called Submit. Now, it used to be, even with the version that we had, that we could only submit 1 time. But because we are paying for Screencastify, we can submit unlimited times. And if you have not used Submit, it's a really great tool to get questions and answers from students based on maybe a book that you've read or anything where you want to get feedback from them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Submit. Okay, and it's going to go ahead and sign me in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to my tab now, make it easier for everybody to see. So give me just a second here, and let me go back to tab or window, excuse me, window, and it's this one. Here we go. Okay, here we go. I'll make it a little bit easier for you to see. Okay. All right, so here's my Submit Unlimited. Now, the last time that I did a training, this has been a little while. I had one that was open. Actually, I just really closed it like a couple of hours ago. I wanted to kind of go in there and make sure that I remembered how to do everything that we were getting ready to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an assignment. Now we're going to pretend that in my class that we've read the book, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. And I want my students to give me some feedback. I want them to respond to the book. How did it make them feel? And they're going to tell me using a Submit. Okay, so I'm going to click on New Assignment. And you see I can send it straight to Google Classroom if I want to. Okay, and it'll automatically kind of turn it on in there if I want to, or I can generate a link, and then I can actually send that link to Google Classroom. So I have 2 different ways that I should do this. Larry, which way should we do it today? Because they both work really great. So
you know what? For teachers doing this with their students, I would definitely do Google Classroom.
That's what I thought.
That's the way I would go. But if you're doing it in a Meet, kind of like what we're doing right now, and then you would do the link and then put it in the chat. So it really depends on what you're doing. But I really like Google Classroom because your students are already there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was Google Classroom because both ways work, and because some people, you know, some teachers they use Google Classroom all the time, and some teachers they don't. They use other things. I know that we're supposed to all use Google Classroom all the time, but sometimes there's assignments that we get that don't require using Google Classroom, right? But so this can be used in both ways. So you see I've got a blue box around Google Classroom. I'm going to click Next. Okay, now what do I want them to record? I'm going to have to think about this. I'm going to have to kind of have this already mapped out in my head. Do I want them to do a screen recording and a web recording where they're recording their screen and they're also recording you know, with the webcam, or do I want to just do the webcam where they just record off their webcam, or just the screen recording? The choice will be up to them to do. Will actually be up to me to make that decision for them. I'm going to go ahead and do screen and web recording. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and title this the giving tree. Okay, and I can put the directions in here. For time's sake, well, I'm not going to go ahead and put those in here. But so my title is going to be the giving tree. Click next. Okay, now it says for what class? This should look pretty familiar to you. Are you seeing my little window here? Please tell me.
Yes, we do, Misha.
Okay.
I'll tell you if we didn't.
All right. All right. I'm going to go ahead and practice. And it's going to be, I can make it worth 100 points. And I'm going to send it to, I'm going to go ahead and send it to all the students. And I can put a topic. I normally would put a topic, but for today, we're not going to put a topic for that. And you can see I can assign it or I can schedule it. Yes, sir. Can we help you? He's over in the lab area. And that's if you go back out the door and then you turn to the right and you go down the little hallway and you're going to see a room on the right hand side. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we can either assign or schedule. I'm going to go ahead and assign this. Okay, and hopefully it will assign it. There we go. Now check this out. Give it just a second to finish. All right, yay, it's live. I'm going to go ahead and view it on my classroom. Okay, here it is, the giving tree, and it's in my practice Google Classroom that I had already kind of set up. So here is the actual assignment, and all they would do is they click in here and it takes them, it'll take them to Screencastify, and they don't even need to have the extension. What it's going to do is it's going to ask for permission to use their microphone and to use their web camera all at the same time, and then boom, they'll be able to do that. They don't even have to be logged in or anything. And then but because we're using Google Classroom, what's so great about that is we know who did it, because when we turn it in, when the kids turn it in, it's automatically going to have their name on it like everything else in Google Classroom, which makes things really, really easy for me as the teacher. Okay, so that is how we are going to use submit. Now, again, what are we going to use that submit for? We could use it for book responses. We could use it for a number of things. What about if I'm wanting to use it for goals or for conferencing with my kids? Okay, what if we wanted to use it for something like that? How would we use it for something like that? I want you to look right over here. Now, this is some old data. This is my very extremely smart cat's data, actually, from another session that we did. And I'm looking at his reading levels. He's doing pretty awesome. I'll tell you, for a first grader. And I'm looking at all the data here, and right here, right down here in the bottom, if you can see this, this is actually a link to a Screencastify that I recorded for Mayhem based on where his reading level is, and I just talk about, hey, you know what, you're on level 16 right now, you're on level 28 right now. We want you to move ahead. So how about trying to read, some of these books like Jeannie B. Jones or whatever books I want him to read, and then so he can improve his reading. And then as an assignment back, I want him to respond to me, so then he can put his response here. I don't have to actually do an assignment for everybody, or in Google Classroom. I can do it straight in a spreadsheet here. And that makes it easier for us. And we have little conference going. Because, I know that we talk about we want to have those individual conferences with kids. And sometimes that's hard because we have an entire class all day. If we're self-contained, even if I have classes all day, that's a lot of kids. I can have up to 150 kids. Is that right, Larry? They can have 150 kids.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of kids. So how can I make my job more personalized with that student? How can I conference with them? And this is one way that you can do it. It takes you just a couple of minutes to record yourself. Boom, you're finished, and then you send it to them, and then that way they have an assignment where they can get back to you, and you're having a conversation that you can watch, you can listen to at a later time. You don't have to do it during class time, which gives you more opportunities to meet with more students. Does that make sense for everybody? Are there any questions about
that's such a great idea, Misha. And that's why I asked you the other day is, what do you mean by conferencing with these tools? And thank you. This is such a great idea. Now, Evangelina, you have a question.
Yes, sir, I do. Is the Screencastify access through Clever now? Because before we used to have it up there on the little orange arrow used to be in the top, and I guess it's the toolbar on the top.
Yes, it's still on the toolbar.
It's still there. It's still there. So how you get there And I don't know if this is going to actually zoom in or not, but up here, you see how I'm pointing to all my little extensions, and I have a lot of them, right? Because
Okay.
the district pushes them out.
So
If there's a little,
the kids
yes.
still have it there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
But if they don't see it there, because sometimes when there's an update to Chrome, it's like it disappears, right? And you're like, what happened? My stuff is gone. So this is where you look for it. There's a little puzzle piece.
Okay.
And when you click on the puzzle piece, then it's going to show you all of your extensions, and some of them have a blue pin. That means that they're pinned so you can see them on the outside. So if it doesn't have a blue pin, all you do is click the pin. Let's say I'm going to do Grammarly. So I click it and make it blue, and then if I don't want it in my extensions where I can see it, I uncheck it, but that doesn't mean I don't have access to it. It just means it's not going to show when I open up Chrome. It's still there. It's just hidden. Because maybe I don't want all of those extensions there. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, no problem. Good. I'm glad I was able to answer that question for somebody. All right, so I'm using Screencastify. We can use it for conferencing. We can use it to get responses from students. What about if they're justifying an answer? Like in, math, or, and again, we're going to be using our screen. You could be using a white screen. They can, our whiteboard, and record their screen, and then also record them, and having that web camera. And I'm going to say something about the web camera, and I am guilty of this as anybody, because, I don't like to always see myself on the big screen. But what Amy Mayer, who is she's from Frytech. She's actually the co-founder, or the founder of Frytech. She's awesome. And she said there's lots of research out there that proves that when you create a video, if your face is in one of the corners, that the person who's watching the video has a much, much better connection and will get a deeper learning because of your face being there. Now, imagine that. Just having your face in the corner. I know we all don't want to do it. I'm guilty as anybody else, but I think about that when I'm creating a video and I'm just doing a voiceover for it because I really want people to focus on the screen. I'm like, I really probably should put my face in this video, and I don't do it all the time. But I do hear Amy Mayer in my head telling me, hey, you didn't do what I told you to do. That's not good. But having that little picture of yourself, it improves that connection with your student, and there's a much deeper learning that happens. So we should all try to do that. I know I need to do more of that. Like I said, I'm guilty as anybody else. Does anybody else have problems with putting their face in the corner? I know, and it's a hard thing for us to do sometimes, but it will pay off in the end. I promise you. Any comments about that, Larry?
One thing I do like about Screencastify that I use it quite often is I use it with Google Slides.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I do a presentation, and then I start Screencastify, and then I talk through the different slides that I'm doing. So imagine if a student is creating a slideshow on a project that they're doing. Maybe it's on a favorite book. Maybe it's on a science project, on mitosis, whatever it is. And they create the presentation, and then they record the video of going through the presentation. And they talk about the presentation. It adds another layer to that presentation than just that research that they've done. And so that's one of the ways I like using it. And using it for language acquisition, Natalia, you're absolutely right. That's a good way of using it. Maybe you have different images, and then the students are talking about what that image is or what's happening in that image in their new language that they're learning.
Very cool. Very cool. So we've already, and we've barely touched the surface of Screencastify. Like what we've said is that we are paying for Screencastify. So we have access to lots of things that for the free version that you don't normally get. And one of them, of course, is the Submit Unlimited, which is what we just looked at, where you can actually set up a submission and a response to something, to anything, and it will put it in your Google Classroom for you, or you can create a link and do it that way. But there's a couple of other things that are in Screencastify, and I'm going to go ahead and open this back up. Hopefully you'll be able to see my thing. I'm going back to the little menu where I
don't see that yet.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to
show full screen.
Yeah, I'm going to have to show full screen again. Let me go ahead and do that. That's what happens when you have a big monitor. It's really, really nice, but sometimes showing everything, it's hard. Okay, now you're going to be able to see it. So if I click back in here, and I'm going to click on those 3 lines again, because you know 3, the magic number 3, and you're going to see the editor here. Okay, so if I click on the editor, what it's going to do is as I record something, or if I have stuff that's in my Google Drive already. So let's say that I recorded a video like yesterday, right? And I want to add it here. I can do that as well. I don't have to, it doesn't have to just be something I just recorded right now. It can be something that I recorded from before that's in my Google Drive somewhere. I can just say, add videos to your project. Okay, yes. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this because I want to kind of walk you through this just a little bit. Now, if you have not used the editor in Screencastify, it's super easy to use. So let's say I'm recording a video and I misspeak. I say, I say something and it's not the correct word. Instead of there, I say this, and I need to go and fix that. So what I can do then is I need to pull that video in. So if I add the media, okay, and you'll see there's even an upload here. So I can even, if it was like on my phone, if I recorded on my phone, and then I put it onto my computer somehow, and I want to upload it from my desktop, I can do that. Or I can get it from my drive. So I'm going to click on Drive. Okay. And I can go look here for Screencastify, which is really scary because I have so many videos in Screencastify. Let's see, Castify. It should take me, here's my folder. And look at all these videos. Whoa, tons and tons and tons of them. So I'm just going to pick one really quick here. I'm going to select it. That's the one's from like August. So again, this shows you that this was not a new video. And you'll see there's my little face in the corner. Awesome. Yeah, not so awesome. But now what I can do here is I can cut this. And you see I'm drawing on the screen. I'm using some of the tools in Screencastify to do this. I think this is from actually a year and a half ago. I think this is from 2021. We can zoom in. So right here, I don't know if you can see this, and I'm trying to zoom in, but it's not allowing me to.
It's a tiny line. You'll see
right
it barely.
Here. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So here's my little line. So I find the spot that where I want to cut it, and wherever that line is, that's where I'm going to be doing the editing. Okay. So you can drag it, you can move it to wherever that you want, and once you get that line situated, that's where you want to cut it. Now, if it's too small. You see this over here where it says zoom out and zoom in? That doesn't mean it's going to zoom out and zoom in in an edit way. That means I can actually pull this down and look at, and you see how it looks like my footage is getting longer. It's not that it's getting longer, it's getting that now I'm getting down to more of the frame. So I can be as exact as I want to be to make those cuts. So right here, this is where I'm going to cut it right here because I'm getting ready to say something else right here. And now I can crop it. But you see, I had to click on it. I had to get that box around it, that yellow box around it. If there's no yellow box around it, you're not going to be able to do any edits. So you need to make sure that you've selected that piece of video. And then I crop it. Oops, I'm going to cut it actually. Did it just zoom in for you finally?
Yes, it did zoom in.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. So I click cut. And it did. You see here, right here? See, now there's one piece here on this side, and there's one piece on this side. They cut it right here in the middle. Okay. So I was able to do that. I can also crop. So if I have a piece of video here and I'm looking at the video and I can crop it down so where you can only see like my face, or you only see a part of the screen, where it will cut everything else out and focus in on one part of it. Okay. And again, here's your zoom where you can zoom in or out. This is what you're zooming in or out like you would on a video, not where you're stretching out the video. That was over here along this side. Anything that's over here, this is going to affect your actual footage that you have down in the playlist here. You can blur parts of it. Why would I want to blur parts of it, Larry? Maybe when I have to create those videos on this, when we're signing up kids again, and it's another registration, and I have to use my kids' account because that's the only way I can show how to register kids, and I don't want them seeing Alex's and Eric's ID and all that. So I can blur some of that out. I can do that with the blur right here.
And if you have to, maybe a face, If there's somebody in the class that you don't want to
Absolutely,
show, you can
absolutely.
do that also.
Yes, yes. So you can use the blue blur command. Now it's a rectangle, so when you put it in, let's see here. You see here, and it's going to actually blur part of it out. And I'm going to see if I can make this actual size again, so we can see it a little bit better. So here's, you see the blur is right here in the center.
Yep.
Okay, and I can actually click in here, and I can actually move it. You see, I can move it. Maybe I want to put it over my face. Yeah, that's a great place for it, right there. But you'll see I can move it. I can actually add another blur if I wanted to, and I can shrink them down, or I can make them as big as I want or as small as I want. So there's a blur feature in there. Yeah, there it goes again. Now it's going to start doing it all the time, right? We get it back out. There we go. Another thing that you can do is you can add text. You can add titles to different parts of your story as well. So if I'm making a video, or my students are making a video, and I've shown them how they can blur things out, I've shown them how they can crop, how they can zoom in, but now they can also add titles and text to different parts of their video. Okay, and when you're done, when you're done with everything, of course, then you're going to export it. And how do you export it? Right up here, big blue button. It says export. Okay, and you're going to want to export it. You can have two different ways that you can export. One is as an MP4, and what that means is it's going to actually download it for you, like to your device. And an MP4 is the standard, what they call file type for a video, which means that any device can see it in an MP4 format. There are certain formats that only specific types of computers, whether it's a PC or whether it's a Mac, can look at, but an MP4 can be viewed by anything, a tablet, a phone, anything, and which is what we want. Also, you can export it back to Screencastify, so it will actually put it back inside of like where your videos are. So now you had your original video that we took in and we made some edits to, and now we can put it back into Screencastify if we want to. For me personally, because I put stuff on YouTube, it's easier for me to download it and then to put it into YouTube at a later time. So sometimes I don't do this all at one time, and that way I can do it in little increments and in little chunks if I wish to. Okay, and for students, I think it would be easier for them to put it into their Screencastify and then share the link out with you. Are there any questions about using the editor in Screencastify? I know we went through it a little bit quick because we also have another really cool tool we want to use.
One thing about Screencastify that I like, a student can use it at home by themselves.
Yes.
So for example, for me, I struggle to read. I would do anything I could not to read in the class out loud because I struggled. But I know my teachers wanted to hear me read. So give them the opportunity and show them how, where they can read to you from home using Screencastify. And they will be much more open to do that. But also talk with your parents when you make that happen, so that the parents are there for support. So you would create slides, maybe in Google Slides, with text that you want them to read, and then you allow them to read that through Screencastify. Just a little thing that I would do with my students.
I think that's amazing, because it's another way of using these really great tools. I know for my kids, they were in band, and when they were trying out for different things, we had 2 years where we were at home. But even before they were at home, their teachers would have them do this. They would record themselves playing their instrument and send it to the teacher, and then the teacher would critique them. And so they had this constant conversation going on using Screencastify. I was so blown away by that, because it was like, wow, the one place I wouldn't think that they would use it that much, and they were using it more than I knew anybody was using it at that time. And then of course then the pandemic hit, and then everybody was using it. So that's a good thing.
And then a lot of students struggle with getting text on paper.
Yes.
But yet they can tell you exactly what they know. They can verbalize it. Using Screencastify, that gives them another opportunity to show the teacher what they know.
Yes. And another thing that you can do with Screencastify, I know we're still here in the edit mode, but if you wanted to export, another way that you can export it as an MP4, and it's not showing here, but if I go to a video that's already been edited, that I'm not in the edit mode, one of the ways that I can export it is I can export the audio only. So, maybe we have some shy kids out there who don't really want to be seen, and maybe they forgot that they still have their web camera on, or maybe that was a requirement by you that they have their web camera on. They can actually download it as an audio file. I do know we had some people who were doing that when they were having specific meetings, and they, we had Google Meet, but before Google Meet, they were doing it this way too, where they were recording and exporting it as an audio file, just so that way they would have that, that as almost like a backup, as a documentation of some of their meetings that they were doing. So it's another great way to use Screencastify. And again, some of this stuff we get to use it because we pay for it. And so please use it. It's awesome. It's so great. It's so great.
So Misha, you're telling me that a teacher could read a short story. The students can read it on their own time, possibly even on their phone, and then respond to it.
Respond to it. Yes. And again, what's so nice is that the kids can do it at home. Like, as you said, I can do it at home. I don't have to be, at school doing it. And again, for those conferencing opportunities, if I want to hear what my student has to say and I'm at home, I can listen to it there while, I am in the comfort of my own home. I'm sitting in my recliner chair and I'm going through, some of the responses. I can do that on, I know we do a lot of things on our time, but I can do that outside of the classroom time, when the students aren't there, as opposed to, trying to get through everything while they're there, especially if I have a lot of kids. I want to individualize them and take time with each one of them. And this is a way that I can do that more efficiently than, trying to schedule, okay, I only have 2 minutes with you. That's it. So you tell me everything you need to in 2 minutes, go. It gives them a little more time to kind of tell you what they're thinking, what's in their brain. And again, justifying answers, responding, this is why I think, or, having a debate discussion, here's one side, here's the other side, teams of kids could do this together. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could just record. It's so great.
Now, there's a question from Carmen about what is the max time that the students can record?
Oh, well, the max time that students can record it's endless. Because guess what? We were paying for it. When we didn't pay for it, you could only do I think it was 10 minutes.
Is it 5 or 10?
It might have been 5, but I think they gave us a little bit longer for a shorter period of time when we were in the pandemic. And then we ended up purchasing it. And once we purchased it, we have unlimited time. And it used to be you could only do 50 videos a month. So, and this was with the free version, this was before we had the editor, which means that if you made a mistake, that's one of your videos. Now you have to go back and do the whole thing again, and hopefully you don't make a mistake the second time. But see, now you can record, you can go back and you can cut it and edit it and make it look all professional and really polished. And your kids can do this too, because they have the editor just as much as you do. So, it's another great way for them to learn some of these really cool tools that we have in a really fun way, because some kids, they like doing that.
And the magic to a lot of things, of resources that we have, the resource is pretty easy to use. Screencastify is easy. Yes. The magic happens is, how do we utilize it to support instruction and support the needs of our students?
Yes.
That's the magic. And so that's where our professionalism as an educator comes out, is how to use these tools in a magical way.
Yes. Yes. And I think, let me go back here, because it's not taking me to all of my menus. So let me go back here, because there should be the question, but I don't see the question here anymore. Did they take that away from us?
That I do not know, but I'll show you a way to put a question into a video with Nearpod video.
I know we have Nearpod as well, but I know it used to be here in Screencastify, but I do not see it now. So that makes me kind of think that maybe it's not there anymore.
I don't see it myself.
Yeah,
I'm looking myself.
See it there. So, but before Larry shows that, and I want to make sure I save time for that. So I want to get to our next application, and that is Flip. I still want to call it Flipgrid, but it's Flip now. And I just went to info.flip.com. If you just Google Flipgrid or Flip, you'll come to this page here. And super easy to log in if you've never logged in before. You want to log in with Google, okay? And so I'm just going to go ahead and log in because it remembers me because I'm in here a lot. Okay, and you can see I've got all kinds of stuff in here. Now I'm going to show you how easy this is to set up an assignment for students using Flipgrid. And again, Flipgrid is free, and we have access to everything because thanks to Microsoft, thanks for them for purchasing it and seeing how important teachers are and how they made this for free for us. And thank you Microsoft, thank you. So when you first start, it's going to ask you if you want to make a group. Now I have lots of groups in here, but I'm going to go ahead and start a new group. Okay, so I click group, create a group. I can create a group or I can join a group. If I join a group, I'm going to have a code. But since I'm a teacher, I'm going to create a group. You're seeing this, right, Larry?
I see it. We're good.
Okay, so I can just select what kind of group type that I want. And I always just go create my own group because it doesn't really matter what group type that you have. It just matters the settings that you add to it. So I'm going to go ahead and create my own. And I'm going to name this group Minecraft Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, two of my favorite things, Minecraft and My Cat Mayhem. All right. Edit the theme. I'm going to edit the theme. I'm going to switch it over to this one here just for fun. Okay, so you can edit the theme as you see that I did there. Okay, and then it says who can join. And I usually leave it as anyone with a link. Sometimes, as you found out with Screencastify, you are trying to log in and you think you're logged in and you're not. Well, the same thing happens with lots of the applications that we have. And if maybe your kids think they're logged in, maybe they're not all the way logged in. And then they try to get into a group here in Flip and it's telling them that they're not able to. So I always leave it as anyone with a link because I'm going to add one safeguard here on the next line. Okay, my safeguard on the next line is I'm going to do email. I'm not going to do Google Classroom. Google Classroom has a tendency to give us errors every once in a while. I've seen it over and over again. And the way that we prevent that is by using the email as opposed to the Google Classroom. I'm not sure why. The last time that we tried it, we did have a couple of issues with it. So I just say, save yourself some time. Just go to email. When you click email, it says, okay. So you're either going to type the emails of the people that you want to join. Now, if I'm looking at, I'm going to use this for my kids. I don't want to sit there and type out 25, 30, 35, 40 different email addresses. So here's my little trick. I click in here and I'm going to put yisd.net, which means that anyone who has a link and who has a YISD account will be able to look at my Flip. That means that if I have an outside Gmail account and I'm logged in as my outside Gmail account, I can't get in. I can only get in if I'm logged in using a YISD.net account. Does it make sense? There's my safeguard. Now I know for sure that we're safe. Okay. All right. So I have that. I have my group name and I create the group. Okay. Now it's telling me, hey, here's the group name. Okay. And this is just the group. This is not a topic. So if you add people to the group, there's not anything in there for them to respond to. They're just added into the group and everybody's like, oh, this is really cool. We're all part of this Flip group. What do we do? So we need to kind of take it a step further. Okay?
Now, before you go, though, before we let go, I want you to notice this is where you could copy the link to the group. That's important when you're going to use Flip in screen with Nearpod.
Or if you're using it with Google Classroom or anything that you're using it with, because you're gonna need the link. So but when we move down to topic, Larry, also we will see this link as well. Okay.
Yep.
You can also you can make it like into a QR code when we get into the topic. So you can share it in Google Classroom straight away. You can embed it, or you just click copy link, and now it's copied onto my what they call the clipboard. And so if I do a Command V or a Control C, I will be able to paste it and put it in Google Classroom or wherever it is, Nearpod, wherever it is I want to put that link into. Okay, so we've got the link to the topic. So here's my topic. Okay, so now here's my group. Under the group, I want to have a topic. Maybe I want to have a discussion about how awesome sharks are, or maybe I want to have a discussion of how awesome mayhem is, or Minecraft, or whatever it is that I want to have a discussion about. And so I want to go ahead and click topics. I click topic, and now here I'm going to add, sharks are cool. And then I can ask my question about it. For time's sake, I'm not going to do this part, but this is where I would put my directions. Okay. And then I can add some media. I can add a GIF if I wanted to make it look really funny for the kids. Sometimes that kind of engages kids a little bit more. It's up to you. You don't have to do that. I don't do that all the time. And then you can decide on how long you want the students to be able to record. Two things that the reason why you really want to look at this. Reason one, who's going to be looking at them? Probably you. So you want to make sure that you've got the time to be looking at them. Secondly, how long do you want the kids to talk? That's something else you need to think about. The default time is 1 minute and 30 seconds, but look at this. I don't have to use 1 minute and 30 seconds. Maybe I want them to do like an elevator talk, where I only want to give them 45 seconds, or I want to give them 30 seconds, where they're going to tell me their piece. Or I want them to talk longer. I want them to tell me a whole story. I can go all the way from 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes. That's a long time to have somebody re-recording, but you can do that. But again, the default time is 1 minute and 30 seconds, but you do have those options in there. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then I can post the topic. Okay. And now you see how it's giving me that this is a different link now. This is the link just to this topic. So now if I've asked a question, why are sharks so cool? They can now answer that and then when they click on the link, it's going to take them right into Flip, and they'll be able to record. They don't have to have an application. They don't have to have anything. It automatically is trying to access their microphone and their camera, just like the one with Screencastify kind of did when we made it an assignment. Okay, and that's it. That's how we use Flip. Now, what's great about Flip is that it also works on phones and tablets. There's an app that you can get, and it's so great because you can just record on the fly, and you can add stickers, and there's an edit feature right in the program. So as they watch themselves, they can cut, they can add stickers, they can add all kinds of stuff behind them. They can add a whiteboard if they wanted to. There's a ton of stuff that they can do, and basically letting them figure that part out for themselves is like half the fun, because they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I had a rainbow pen. Oh my gosh, I have this. And then they get really excited. Of course, they're going to want to use everything. Let them. What's it going to hurt? It's going to be just a little video. And then it stays in Flip forever. So you can go back and you can share those out with parents, and you can download them if you wanted to. You can share them out through the link to anybody. As long as so when they're accessing the group, they have to be a part of YISD. But if I'm going to be taking that video and I want to put it up into my Google Drive, or I want to put it somewhere else, I can do that, and then I can share it out with whoever I want, including parents, which I think is awesome. What a great way to share out, what their students know, what their kids know through Flip. And because sometimes, when they're there by themselves with that camera, a lot of really profound things come out of their mouth, and we want to share that. That's good news. We want that to be out there and say, this is so awesome. Look what you did, kid. Look at the work that you're doing. That's what we want to celebrate, the good stuff. This is a way that you can do it. Are there any questions about using Flip?
We're having some pros on this, like Ms. Fernandez uses it in her class, and how the students love using it. So
yes.
Definitely, absolutely.
It's a great tool. And Larry, I think I gave you enough time to show us one more really cool thing, since it looks like Screencastify doesn't have it anymore.
Yes, I'm on it.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop presenting now, so you can present.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a Nearpod in Google Slides, and you should see my screen right now.
Yes.
And this is called I started a Nearpod just to get the idea, but the first thing I created was I added this flip grid. Now notice this is built within Nearpod so that when the kids click on it, it automatically takes them to Flipgrid. So I'm going to click on the add-ons here. I'm going to open up Nearpod. And I'm going to edit this lesson.
Now you're doing this through Google Slides.
I'm doing this through Slides, and I'm adding Nearpod slides to it. And notice one of the slides that I have right here is Flipgrid.
Yes.
And so what I did was I added the Flipgrid slide. So I'm going to edit the slide that I already did. I want you to notice something. So I'm going to click Edit the slide. And notice there's two links that you have to add Flipgrid to a Nearpod. The first one is insert the topic URL from the browser. Now remember the topic that Misha created, and I says, look where she's getting that link. That's important. Well, there's the link to the topic. And then remember how there was the join link to join into the group? Well, that's where this goes. So when that happens, Flipgrid will work within Nearpod. So when the students see the Flipgrid up there, all they do is click on it. It automatically takes them to Flipgrid, and then they can record and do what they need to do. So easily, and they don't have to even log into Flipgrid. You've taken care of it already for them in Nearpod. And so that's one way of using Flipgrid. And I just wanted to make sure that you saw that and how to make it happen. The next thing I want you to show you real quick, and I don't know if they've added it. They were supposed to add movie into the side. And if not, no worries. I'll take you to Nearpod to create a video.
The video is down at the bottom there, Larry.
It was there?
Right there, video, right there.
Ah, it is there. Okay.
Yes.
It's been showing up there and not, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to click on video. And I want you to notice it has videos already created. And so if I'm going to do a search for, let's say, 3rd grade videos, and here I have a video on Hispanic month, or I can actually type in and do a search. These are videos that are already created that I can use that have questions already built into them. There are even vocabulary videos that are already there. You can also go to YouTube here, and you can add a YouTube video and then put in questions of your own into a YouTube video. So for example, let's say I'm going to look for a video on kindness. And here I have one. Kindness is the superpower, is my superpower. So if I click on it, it gives me a little preview that I can watch. And if I want to use it, I go ahead and I hit save. So what it does, it adds the video for me to be able to use it. So now here, I can go ahead and hit play to watch the video.
I'm Lucas, just an ordinary boy. And this is Teddy, my favorite toy. I like to eat candy, jellies, and cakes.
So now here I stopped it, and I want to add a question because I want to see if my students are really paying attention. So I hit add activity, and notice it's going to put it at the 40-second mark. So when I click on add activity, I have two choices. I can add an open-ended question, or I can add a multiple choice question. Let's go with open-ended. And then here, I'm going to put it, what do you like to eat?
That's definitely an open-ended question.
Definitely. And then I'm going to hit save. And now I posted a question within this video. Now, remember how Screencastify, Misha was like, well, how can you add a question and it was gone? Well, this is where you can add a video. Don't worry, I'll show you how to bring in your own Screencastify. So if I go ahead and I hit play.
But sometimes I make some mistakes. You see, yesterday I was in a bad mood. So I did something very, very rude.
Isn't there another program that does this that some people are wanting to pay for, but we already have this one?
Do you remember, and I know you know this, Edpuzzle? And Edpuzzle has a lot of those capabilities, but you have to pay for it.
Yes.
And so you're right, Misha, absolutely. But you see how get the idea of how you can create the video and add questions to it. Now notice right over here, you have the trim. So maybe you found a video. Is it you created the video, or is a video that was created by someone else? You can hit the trim button here, and you have the starting point and you have the end point. So I could go ahead and bring this down to whatever point I want to, and I can trim it. I have that also. I'm going to hit cancel because I'm not going to trim this video. And then right about here, I'm going to add a question. And this one will be the still open-ended. Now the multiple choice, let me show you how easy it is. You add a question here, and then you can add your answer choices down here. And if you need to add more, you can add more.
What's the check mark for?
The check mark is so that that is the correct answer.
So it's going to grade it for you too?
Absolutely, it's going to grade it for you.
Wow.
And so I'm going to hit cancel though. And I'm going to put in another question right over here. Well, I'm not going to move that one. But I'm going to move it over to here. And I'm going to hit add activity. And this one is going to be another open-ended question. And I'm going to type in the question, why is kindness a superpower? And I go ahead and I hit save. And then notice down here, I have some more options. Now notice this little clock. I can do the playback speed if I wanted to. I can change it. Your students can also change it also, but it's going to leave it at the normal speed. Notice the gear right here. Right here, it shows the video quality. And so on the video quality, you can select what the video quality you want to use. This one is at 480p, so it's going to play very well in the classroom for your students to play and watch. If it's high def or, God forbid, 4K, you might want to drop it down. And then I hit save. And then now I have the video. It's in at the bottom. So we added the flip grid here. I added the video here. Let's say you built a Screencastify video and you want to bring that into Nearpod. Well, look how easy it is. I go into video again. I have my videos. These are videos that I've used before in Nearpod. These are not videos that are in Google Drive. These are only videos that I've created and I use, and these are the ones that I can bring in at any time. So once you create one, you can add it again and again into different Nearpods. But if I want to upload a video, I can go to my Google Drive.
Now, it's probably not going to take like a 20-minute video in there. That's probably going to be a little too big.
Actually, I want to say it's 15 to 30, somewhere in that range. I think it does take more than 20.
Okay. Yeah, I know that it's about the size of the video. It
Yes.
only goes so many megabytes or gigabytes. So you do need to kind of look at that.
And so from here, I could do a search. If I die Screencastify, and here's all my Screencastify videos that I can bring in. Watch me pick an 1.5-hour video.
I was looking at that one. I think that might be an AT one. I think that might be one.
I just thought of it when I clicked it. But
that's okay. That's okay.
Once it brings it in, just like the video that I did for YouTube, then I can go ahead and add all the questions in that I wanted to do. What if you created the video using, let's say, Google Slides, excuse me, and then you created your audio to it, you use Screencastify, and then you can stop at key points to ask questions for your students. And maybe this is a reteach for students that are struggling in a certain component that is taught in a different way than when you did the whole group. So you're differentiating that lesson for your students. That's one way. And I think I did pick a video that was very large. But that gives you an idea how to upload a video and to put it. Then it's the same process. But let's take a look at what it looks like when it goes to Nearpod. So now I have it here. Remember how to get to Nearpod? I click on it, Nearpod, open Nearpod. So I see that little slide on the side. And I can add more and more things. And we've done this in Nearpod before. I'm not going to take you there. But once I hit save and go to Nearpod, now it's starting to save in Nearpod. It did come up finally, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. So now here is the one that I created in Google Slides. And let's take a look. I'm just going to do a preview so you can see what it looks like. You can see the preview, Misha?
Yes.
Okay, so remember the one with Flipgrid that I showed you how to do? So when I click on the preview,
there it is.
You see? And so all you're going to have to do is just click and join, and you pop in, and it's ready to go. Now, on the next one, here's that video that I created. So in here, when they hit play,
and you can prevent your students from scrubbing as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Reading Pioneers is proud to present Kindness is My Superpower by Alicia Ortego. I'm Lucas, just an ordinary boy. And this is Teddy, my favorite toy. I like to eat candy, jellies, and cakes. But sometimes I make some mistakes. You see,
and you see then the question comes up, and then you can go ahead and bring in the question. So that kind of gives you the idea of what you have. So let me jump back out and going back into the main screen. And there you have it. Now, we were talking a little bit about, well, remember how it grades for you and all that? If you haven't seen this, you go to the 3 dots. You go into reports. And once the presentations are complete, this is where you would see the reports with the students and get the grades and everything else of what they've done. Of course, with the open-ended response, you'd have to go in and check those. So we have 3 minutes left. We're ready for questions.
Yeah. Any questions? We threw a whole bunch of stuff at you today. So I think we're sorry, but we're not sorry because it was good stuff.
But really, the magic is, how do you use these
how are
different
you going to use it?
resources
Yeah.
in different ways to support what your students are having their needs are?
Now,
That's the magic.
Larry, our kids can now make Nearpods. Isn't that correct? That they can actually go in and make Nearpods. So could they make a Screencastify video and add questions to a Screencastify video and send that out to somebody else?
The highest level of learning is actually teaching.
Teaching, yes.
And we got that from Lead Forward. So could you imagine giving your students the opportunity to become the teacher?
Be an expert. Yeah.
Create the Nearpod. Make them in small groups. They read a book and then they read the books to the students and then they discuss what was the main idea. But they've had that opportunity to dig into that text and to that reading and make those decisions of what is the main idea and why. That's taking learning to a whole different level.
Yeah.
So what happens is, Star 2.0, you can ask the question in any way you want, they'll know the answer. The true key to mastering Star 2.0 is by teaching in a way that the students understand the content at a deep level. And that's the goal. Yeah. How are we going to use Screencastify to support instruction and Star 2.0? You make the students think. You make the students, you support their needs, and you help those students to become learners and self-learners. That's the goal. I need to get off my soapbox. Any other questions? I really hope you got a little something out of this. Make sure to jump in. Don't be afraid. It's all good. Thank you for all you do, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. It was a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you all for being with our students and take care of our babies.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
I'm sorry, you probably mentioned it, but you'll be helping this in your